What if Anakin, Ahsoka, and Obi-Wan returned from Mortis during Order 66? Let's explore the depths of this scenario in the video. How long were we gone? Anakin's voice trails off as he stares at the viewport. He sees nothing but the wreckage of Republic and CIS ships everywhere. A battle must have taken place here, and a big one at that. His heart clenches as he thinks of the people below, including Padme. The only comfort is that some Republic ships are patrolling the planet, showing that at least the Republic still controls the planet. One of the ships hails them and orders them to identify themselves. When Obi-Wan gives their ship's serial number, the clone officer seems confused, saying that the ship was reported lost almost 2 years ago. Well, we're not lost anymore. There is an explanation, but I doubt you'd believe me.
All right, General. You're cleared for landing. Proceed to the designated landing pad.
Once the transmission ends, the three share a look.
2 years? How could we have been gone that long?
It's clear that Mortis is a time void, and so much has changed since we last left. Although, I'm not so sure I like these changes. Well, then let's figure out what we've missed. When the shuttle lands, they are greeted by a large squad of Coruscant Guard. Commander Fox steps forward, pulls out his blaster, and orders the Jedi to be arrested. His men fan out and surround them, training their blasters at the trio who huddle close and ready their lightsabers. Sorry, General, but please, don't make this harder than it has to be. What is the meaning of this? Suddenly, a booming voice echoes from behind.
That's enough, Commander. I think I can take over from here. Master Kenobi, General Skywalker, it's good to see you both alive and well. A lot has changed since we last saw each other.
I can see that. What's going on here?
Yes. There has been a troubling development recently. The situation is complicated. I urge you to please cooperate in the meantime. All will be explained later on.
The clones tense and prepare to fire on them, sending a clear message. Obi-Wan looks around them, but slowly drops his lightsaber to the ground. Anakin and Ahsoka follow suit and hand their weapons over to the clones. Commander Fox takes them into custody, bringing them to Coruscant prison as they are investigated. For hours, the three are kept in separate cells with no communication from the outside. After a while, Anakin grows impatient and considers trying to break out, when the doors open and Chancellor Palpatine appears. Anakin freezes as he stares at his appearance. The once kindly-looking man was badly burned, his face leathery and scorched with sickly yellow eyes.
Anakin, I came as soon as I heard. After you went missing, I feared the worst. I'm so glad to see you safe. I'm sorry you have been kept here.
Chancellor, I'm fine, but what happened here? Why were we arrested?
It has been a long time, and much has changed. The Jedi tried to overthrow the Republic.
What? That's madness. Surely there has to be some sort of mistake. The Jedi would never do something like that.
I'm afraid it's all too real, my boy. Look at my face. These burns are the result of an assassination attempt by Mace Windu. If it wasn't for Pong Krell, he would have succeeded.
Anakin can hardly believe what he's hearing. Never in a million years could he imagine the Jedi doing something this drastic. They were peacekeepers and defenders of the light. Although rigid, it also prevented them from taking such extreme measures. Launching a coup attempt was inconceivable within the Jedi Code. Something in his face must have revealed his thoughts as Palpatine smiles.
You find it hard to believe. I understand. But by the war's end, the Jedi had amassed considerable power. They did not wish to give it up, so they rebelled when I suggested removing them from their military positions. But I've ordered them to pardon you.
Thank you, Chancellor. But what of my friends?
Unfortunately, General Krell was quite insistent we keep them under watch.
Please, I can assure you that they are not traitors. I've been with them the whole time, and I would know if they tried something.
Anakin, you are putting me in a difficult position. But I will agree. If you trust them, then I shall defer to your judgment.
Thank you, Chancellor.
You're welcome, but Anakin, it is now Emperor.
Reluctantly, the clones release the trio, who are invited to stay in Imperial quarters. As they depart, Ahsoka catches a glimpse of the other cells. To her surprise, she sees Barriss in one of them. Their eyes meet, and the prisoner mouths the words, "He's lying." But before Ahsoka can question it further, Barriss gestures to her to be quiet before looking away. Obi-Wan also has his suspicions as he sees the burnt-out ruins of the temple from the distance. Although he's invited to stay in designated Imperial quarters, Obi-Wan says he needs air and walks with Ahsoka.
Master Kenobi, I think the Chancellor is hiding something from us.
I think so too. Something isn't adding up, and I don't like it.
What do you suggest?
Well, nothing treasonous. We're simply exploring a new world. I'm sure no harm can come from exploring the city a little bit.
Agreed. I think I might meet with an old friend.
Good luck, and may the Force be with you. The two go their separate paths, with Obi-Wan making his way towards the ravaged Jedi Temple. He's careful to use some of the old hidden entrances of the Jedi Temple, slipping into the shadows and away from prying eyes. He's careful to remain silent as he hears voices just beyond. Occasionally, he'll pass an opening where he can glimpse the remains of the attack. He finds burnt metal, cracked pillars, scorched walls, and countless clones. Guards and scavenger teams stock the halls, securing rooms and loading whatever valuables they can onto ships. As he descends deeper, the stench grows fouler as in one courtyard, he sees the clones loading a more morbid cargo. Bodies of Jedi are being loaded onto a transport. Obi-Wan freezes as his gaze shifts towards the small forms being carried away. Younglings. His face hardens at the sight of the young Jedi being casually dumped into carts. He slips from his hiding spot to a nearby balcony to get a closer look. The clones have no reverence for them, and he immediately knows something is wrong. If there was indeed a coup, there would have been no way the younglings would have been involved. Many of them were little more than children, and there are far too many of them to have simply been accidents. Suddenly, there's a sharp noise behind him. Obi-Wan whirls as a shadow lunges at him. He ignites his lightsaber just in time to see the hulking form of Balin's skull looming over him, lightsaber pressing down against him. Master Kenobi, you shouldn't have come here. Balin, what is the meaning of this? Isn't it obvious that the Jedi are paying for that treachery to the Republic, like those younglings below? Do you expect me to believe that they helped in a coup? Balin glances over the balcony, and a look of shame crosses his face. But then his expression hardens. You should have stayed in hiding. At least then you could have lived. Balin presses the attack, striking in quick and aggressive attacks that drive the Jedi Master back. Obi-Wan parries his attack and then slides against his next swing and thrusts his lightsaber forward. The former Jedi jerks his head to the side, but is too slow as the blade burns a gash across his cheek. This success heartens Obi-Wan, who launches a counterattack. His movements as fluid as ever, forcing the larger fighter to move on the defensive, now only focused on blocking Obi-Wan's lightsaber. The Jedi Master keeps Balin on his toes by throwing kicks that leave him stumbling back. It's over, Balin. Tell me what's going on and we can end this. Balin growls in response, then hits a button on his lightsaber. Suddenly, a second blade ignites, and they spin in a rapid motion. Smirking, the former Jedi begins to advance. Oh, that's new. Obi-Wan finds his momentum faltering as he must give ground, his attacks useless against the spinning lightsaber. He's slowly driven back to the balcony's edge, where Balin slams an elbow into his chest, knocking the wind out of Obi-Wan, who gasps for air. Before Balin can bring his blade down, blaster fire erupts from the shadows. Red bolts strike Balin's chest. He looks down at the burning wounds before collapsing to the ground. Obi-Wan blinks as a squad of red-armored Mandalorians appear from the roof and land in front of him. He eyes the leader suspiciously as he notices the red and black markings on her head. I suppose I owe you some thanks. Suddenly, one of the Mandalorians lands in front of him and strikes him across the head with his blaster, sending the Jedi crumpling to the ground. Ahsoka moves stealthily through the dimly lit corridors. watching as the guards finish their patrols and sneaking past them. She slips between them and retraces her steps as she heads back to her detention block. Just a few cells away is Barriss. The prisoner's eyes widen as she sees her friend, but Ahsoka opens the doors and steps inside.
Barriss,
You shouldn't be here, Ahsoka.
you wanted to tell me something, and I need answers. What's happening? Why is the temple in ruins?
It's the Chancellor. He's the one behind the attack on the Jedi. Now the other way around. He's consolidating power, turning the Republic into an empire.
The Chancellor?
The war gave him that, but he needed the Jedi Dawn to obtain unlimited power. He needed them gone.
Then come with me. Help me stop this. Help me expose him.
No, Ahsoka. I can't. I belong here. I deserve this.
No, you don't. Whatever mistakes you made, we're still friends, and I won't leave you here.
You don't understand. This is my penance.
You can. And I'll help you. We'll figure this out together. Just let me help you.
Before Barriss can respond, the cell doors slides open with a loud clank. 2 clones storm in. Ahsoka instinctively reaches for her lightsabers, but just as the clones raise their blasters, a 3rd trooper appears from behind, firing a set of stun rounds that take them out. He removes his helmet, revealing 5s.
5s?
Good to see you, Commander. But we need to move. Now.
Ahsoka hesitates, looking back at Barriss.
Come with us, please.
Barriss looks over at them, then back at her cell. She can hear footsteps running up to their position and knows she doesn't have much time. Slowly, she takes their hand and hurries after them. Meanwhile, Anakin and Palpatine celebrate his reunion with a private dinner. They meet in a lavish banquet hall. At first, Palpatine is with his closest allies, but as he sees Anakin, he orders them to leave, saying he wishes for some time alone to catch up with his friend.
Anakin, my boy, your return is cause for great joy. We have much to discuss and much to celebrate.
As most of the senators file out, Krell hesitates.
Perhaps I could.
Not tonight, Krell. This is a private matter.
Krell nods, his face tightening, but leaves silently. Palpatine turns his full attention back to Anakin, eyes gleaming with the glow of candlelight.
The galaxy is changing, my friend.
It has changed more than I imagined. I just wished for the better. What happened while we were gone?
The Jedi, Anakin. They rocked the Republic to its very core. Right after the Battle of Coruscant, they began petitioning me to step down, saying they were concerned that I would hold on to power. Can you imagine playing politics right after such a tragedy, and then pulling this stunt? Their hypocrisy and their power-mongering drove us toward chaos.
Is that why you created the Empire?
They forced my hand and forced me to create this new empire so that true change could be enacted. It was a difficult decision, and I tried to spare the trustworthy Jedi. Krell and a few others, and you especially. I'd hoped to find you because I knew you were always honorable. You are my most trusted friend, my most trusted Jedi.
Anakin's gaze shifts, the flattery landing deeper than he expected. He looks up, meeting Palpatine's gaze. But something at the back of his head prickles in his mind. Some wisdom he heard. Beware your heart. I've always trusted you, Chancellor. You've been there for me when no one else was.
Then join me. Become part of my inner circle. Together we will shape this new galaxy.
I'd be honored.
Then a toast to our future. And the Empire's.
They clink glasses. As Anakin sips, he pauses, setting his glass down. What about Padme? Is she safe?
Padme is alive and well, attending a function tonight. But go to her tomorrow, Anakin. Let her rest. She'll be thrilled to see you.
After dinner, Anakin heads to the restaurant where Padme steps out in an elegant dress. His face lights up at the sight of her. Although he wanted to wait, a part of him wanted to surprise her. Just as he starts to move towards her, a shot rings out. Anakin's senses flare up as he rushes towards her, but a lightsaber deflects his attack. But it isn't Anakin's. Another Jedi bursts from the shadows. From the distance, Rako Hardeen emerges from the shadows and holds up a smoking blaster. The other Jedi pushes Padme behind him and pulls his hood down, revealing Kelleran Beck. Hardeen fires another volley of blasters, forcing Beck to defend. However, he times one saber stroke and deflects the bolt back, knocking his blaster from his hand. Rather than retreat, Hardeen rushes at Kelleran and knocks him over. The bounty hunter begins punching the Jedi while Kelleran tries to block and throws him back. He leaps to his feet and readies his lightsaber, but Hardeen snaps his cable and wraps it around the Jedi's wrists, knocking it from his grasp.
You could have got a better one at least.
How about two? Anakin steps from the shadows and readies his lightsaber. Hardeen looks around and then activates a smoke grenade and runs off, realizing he's outmatched. Once he's gone, Padme helps Kelleran free and runs the Jedi off, who disappears into the shadows.
Padme!
Anakin. I thought you were...
He pulls her into a tight embrace, holding her for a long moment, but they are interrupted by the sound of an Imperial gunship flying over them. General Krell steps out and is surprised to see him.
General Skywalker, I was told by the Emperor you were back in your quarters.
I decided to visit an old friend.
I can see that. How fortunate we are that you were never one to follow orders. Now, intelligence reports a Jedi being seen in this area. Did you see anything?
Anakin glances around toward the alley where Kelleran disappeared, and then towards Padme, but then shakes his head.
No? Just a bounty hunter who tried to assassinate the senator.
Obi-Wan groans as he wakes up on a cold metal floor and rubs his head. As he sits up, he finds a pair of Mandalorians standing watch over him.
You're awake. Good. Our boss wants a word with you. And who might that be?
The Mandalorian doesn't answer, simply motioning for him to follow. As the door slides open, two more guards flank Obi-Wan, escorting him down a narrow corridor. As they reach the main hall, he's surprised to see Ahsoka there with Barriss and Fives. The trio are sharing a hot meal as they wait for him.
Well, it seems at least one of us got a warm welcome.
Apologies, Master. I didn't know you were here until after they knocked you out.
And just who are they? And their boss?
One of the Mandalorians activates a device. A blue hologram flickers to life, revealing the unmistakable form of Darth Maul. Obi-Wan's hand immediately twitches towards his waist for a lightsaber that isn't there.
Maul. I should have known.
Kenobi. Always so quick to assume the worst.
Why am I not surprised you're involved in this?
Before Maul can respond, Fives, standing to the side, steps forward.
General Kenobi, Ahsoka, you need to hear him out. He's working with us, with the clone resistance.
The clone resistance?
The Chancellor, he's behind everything. The war, the order. He's got chips inside us, forcing the clones to obey. It wasn't our choice to kill the Jedi.
Obi-Wan stares at Maul, his expression skeptical. But something in Fives' words makes him pause. The pieces of the puzzle start falling into place.
Palpatine.
Yes, Kenobi. The Chancellor, the man you all swore loyalty to, is the Sith Lord, my master.
Obi-Wan's eyes widen slightly. Realization is dawning. He remembers his own conversation with Dooku on Geonosis.
You were Sidious's apprentice.
Maul nods slowly.
But I was cast aside, and so was Dooku, for another candidate. When Skywalker vanished, his plans faltered. But now that your chosen one has returned, Palpatine's final move is upon us.
Anakin? What does he have to do with this?
Everything. Skywalker is the key to Palpatine's power. His perfect pawn. He's been grooming him for years, waiting for this moment to corrupt him fully. And now that Skywalker's returned, Palpatine will turn him.
Then why are you telling us this? If you're Palpatine's apprentice, why help us?
Because if Palpatine succeeds, I will be nothing more than a memory. I want him to know that I am not some pet to be dismissed at his leisure. Skywalker is the final piece to Sidious's plan, and together, we might have a chance to prevent it.
The next day, Anakin returns to Padme's apartment to visit her. He reads over a report from the clones, saying how they managed to find and kill Rako Hardeen. The Emperor had assured him that it was due to Padme's political rivals trying to get rid of her for her Jedi sympathies. Although Anakin had his questions and doubts, Palpatine reminded him that whatever fell on the Order was their own doing. He reminds Anakin that they never trusted him and often hindered development and victory. These are the thoughts on Anakin's mind as he makes his way inside. Although it should be a happy occasion, it is filled with tension, as Anakin regards his wife with uncertainty. Padme, why are you sheltering a Jedi?
Kelleran Beck. He came to Naboo as a refugee. He's in hiding. And yes, I'm helping him.
You need to turn him over. You know how dangerous it is. The Emperor has made it clear that harboring Jedi is treason.
Anakin, how can you say that?
The Jedi are dangerous, Padme. Even if he seems loyal, they've all been corrupted. Palpatine warned me about this. He's trying to stabilize the galaxy.
Palpatine? Anakin, he's lying to you. The things he's saying, they don't add up. And this whole Jedi plot? Many people are questioning how true it is.
How can I not trust him? Since I got back, he's the only person who's been there for me.
I see. Well then, come with me. I need to show you something, and see if you still believe him after that.
Padme grabs his hand and takes him inside her guest room, where Kelleran Beck stands with a small device in his hand. Padme pulls Anakin over to a table where a hologram flickers to life. The image shows a small, familiar figure. Grogu on Naboo, under the watchful eyes of a gaggle of nurse droids and a Mandalorian bounty hunter hired to protect him.
This is Grogu. He was at the Jedi Temple when the attack happened. The clones were ordered to kill him, just as they were ordered to kill all of us.
The hologram shifts, and Kelleran fights off the clones, protecting Grogu as they escape the massacre. Anakin's breath catches, watching the small child's wide, innocent eyes.
The clones were given orders, Anakin. Orders from Palpatine. He ordered them to murder children. This wasn't about treason or rebellion. It was a massacre.
Anakin's face goes pale as he watches the recording, his mind racing. He turns to Kelleran, a mix of anger and disbelief swirling inside him. Padme places a hand on Anakin's arm.
Anakin, Palpatine is manipulating you. He's been behind this all along. Please, you have to see that.
Anakin steps back, his head spinning. He wants to believe them, but Palpatine's words still echo in his mind. Everything he's been told about the Jedi, the war, the Republic, it's all starting to blur together. Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, we have to find them.
Actually, you aren't going anywhere.
The massive Jedi steps through the door, his hands moving towards his lightsabers as he smiles grimly. Anakin steps in front of Padme, instinctively, while Kelleran moves forward. Krell, what are you doing here?
Oh, don't pretend you don't understand. After you disappeared, I took your place. I am the Emperor's new apprentice. But now that you're back, I'm afraid you're a threat.
With a quick flick of his wrist, Krell ignites his double-bladed lightsabers, the red glow filling the room.
I won't let you replace me.
Krell charges forward, throwing aside furniture as he leaps up at them, his lightsabers spinning around. Kelleran blocks the first attack and leaps back, but Krell follows and sends him sliding back. Anakin takes the chance to try and flank him, but the larger Sith apprentice is fast for his side and whirls around, spinning his lightsabers. He crouches low under the spinning saber and tries to slash at his legs, forcing Krell to leap back, but his extra hands reach out and punch Anakin. Kelleran leaps out and kicks Krell's knee from under him while he's distracted. The Sith Lord grunts in pain and raises his lightsaber just as Kelleran blocks his attack. Krell uses his free hand to grab Kelleran by the waist and headbutts him. He then turns and swirls his lightsabers over to Anakin, who moves with surprising agility. He ducks under the overhead swing and kicks Krell across the stomach. Although he doubles over, Krell tries to reach out for him. This time, Anakin is ready and slices his arm off. Krell screams in pain, but lets his anger flow and bowls Anakin over in response.
You are weak, Skywalker.
And you talk too much.
Kelleran delivers a series of quick, precise strikes aimed at Krell's midsection. Although Krell blocks these attacks, the speed causes the Sith Lord to falter. He tries to retaliate with a sweeping swing at Kelleran. Anakin, meanwhile, stays back and assesses his attack. Once Krell is fully committed, Anakin lunges forward and drives his lightsaber into the Sith Lord's side. He screams in pain again, giving Kelleran the chance to thrust his lightsaber, stabbing him across the stomach. Anakin pulls out his saber and swings it across his head, dropping him to the ground. They watch him fall, but they don't have time to celebrate as they make their way out to the landing pad. However, they aren't alone as a pair of Imperial gunships approach, their blasters trained on them. Anakin clenches his fists, prepared to fight again. But suddenly a pair of missiles strike the Imperial ships and send them blowing up in a burst of fire in midair. A Mandalorian ship appears in the night sky, revealing Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, Barriss, Fives, and the Mandalorians.
Tapped into their communications, sir. Figured you needed some help.
It seems the Empire isn't quite as invincible as it thinks.
You with us?
Anakin, still reeling from the revelations in the battle, looks at his friends and nods.
Let's finish this.
Back in the Senate building, Anakin contacts Palpatine, saying he's found Obi-Wan and Ahsoka and is heading back to the building with them. By the time they arrive, they find the Emperor waiting for them alongside his royal guard. When Anakin steps out, Palpatine raises an eyebrow and looks over at him.
Anakin, my boy, I was starting to get worried. I'm pleased to hear your mission was a success. But where are the prisoners?
There are no prisoners, but they are with me. The ship opens up, deploying Ahsoka, Obi-Wan, Barriss, Kelleran, Fives, and the Mandalorians. The Emperor's face hardens as he looks over at them and shakes his head.
You stand at a dangerous threshold, Anakin. Choose your next move very carefully.
You know, I'm tired of listening to you. Snarling, Palpatine lunges forward. Anakin meets him head-on, their blades clashing with a thunderous crash. Sparks fly as Obi-Wan and Ahsoka join to fight. Around them, the royal guards engage their allies. Ahsoka swings low while Obi-Wan goes for the other side, but Palpatine is already moving. He counters with a quick strike, batting their weapons aside and kicking Ahsoka across the face just as Anakin swings again. As their lightsabers cross, he shoves her back and throws a powerful overhead swing at Palpatine's shoulder. But the Emperor moves faster and slams his palm against Anakin's midsection, sending him tumbling back. Ahsoka darts in, executing a spin kick aimed at Palpatine's head. He ducks, countering with a swipe of his saber that grazes her arm. Ahsoka winces and is thrown back. Obi-Wan launches himself at Palpatine, moving more cautiously but swiftly as he lashes out with a flurry of strikes. The Emperor meets these attacks with his own, parrying them and slashing at the ground, sending sparks flying at Obi-Wan. Meanwhile, around them, their allies finish off Imperial guards, allowing them to rejoin the battle. Kelleran and Barriss attack Palpatine from either side, but the Emperor has no problem dividing his attention and only leaps back once Obi-Wan tries to stab forward. He throws a burst of lightning in their direction, sending the three scrambling back as Anakin leaps up and slams his lightsaber down. Palpatine slides aside and meets Ahsoka and Barriss, who try to attack on either side. Both young Jedi move like lightning, using their superior speed and agility to their advantage, and it seems that they might push him back. As Palpatine gave ground, Ahsoka pressed forward, eager to end the battle. But then, Palpatine springs into a whirlwind of movement, having baited them and bears down on her while she was overextended. Ahsoka grits her teeth as she tries to defend herself, but one parry comes too slow and she watches the lightsaber come down. Suddenly, a figure leaps in front of them, as Barriss screams as she takes the blow for Ahsoka. The former Jedi falls into Ahsoka's arms, as Kelleran tries to keep the Emperor's attention.
Barriss! Why?
Penance. I've betrayed the Order and the Light, but now I make things right.
She closes her eyes and slumps over, leaving Ahsoka to place her body on her side as she roars and reaches forward. Kelleran and Obi-Wan are having a bit more luck. They are more experienced and have an easier time defending against Palpatine. More importantly, the surprise is worn off. Ahsoka springs up and lunges at him, swinging her two lightsabers in opposite directions, leaving him to stumble back. With the three Jedi surrounding them, Palpatine must truly give ground just as Anakin comes from the side, his lightsaber shining brightly as he goes low. Palpatine is so distracted with everyone else that he fails to see Anakin before he slides directly into the blue blade. The Sith Lord hisses in pain, dropping to the ground and clutching his side, looking over at the Jedi hatefully. His yellow eyes stare at them. Anakin looks over at him and then holds up his weapon, aiming it down at him before driving it into his chest. Palpatine's eyes widen as the color drains from his face and he drops to the ground. As the life drains from his eyes, the group all look at one another. Fives finish off the rest of the guards and see them standing over the Emperor.
Good to have you three back.
That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.